Nobody's listening, right? Hi, Andy.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Is anybody listening?
Oh, yeah. We got Clyde, 63. I think that's how you say that. Reality. Thanks for keeping it real. I'm a mom of kids in their 30s and never want to be that passive-aggressive mother. I'm afraid I might have been before this episode.
Whoa. Okay.
Whoa.
Clyde. I don't think so. I think that people who think that about themselves are not that.
Yeah, if you have any sort of...
that mom I saw who I did the impersonation of could never in a million, she would hear that exact story and it wouldn't ever occur to her that I was talking about her.
Yeah. Big fan of these two. This is from Hijack. I've been listening since the Earwolf Challenge.
Oh, shit.
I don't normally write reviews, but I love Elizabeth and Andy, and I highly recommend all their podcasts. Thanks for all the great content over the years.
Oh, wow. That's like 13 years ago.
Maybe more, right?
Maybe
we're
more.
coming up on our 15th anniversary. We moved here shortly after we got married.
Well, I have more. We started podcasting in 2010.
Whoa there. Okay, jeez Louise. Could have gone on that ride for a second with me. Actually, you know what? No, I think it was 2010 or something like that. Okay. Here we go. This is from WKS. Faithfully listening from New Brunswick, Canada.
Nice.
Thank you for sharing a small piece of your lives. Your love and enjoyment of each other and your family is so clear. And this podcast is a joy to listen to with so much negativity in the world. Keep it coming. I want to shout out Carol, JoJo's wife, for giving us
the best Christmas gift these two silly Sally podcasters could ask for. We got a globe.
It's a little globe
where you put little pins in.
Yes.
And are we saying that New Brunswick is our first pin?
Why not? Let's start with New Brunswick, Canada.
Oh my gosh, this is exciting. We'll do that after this podcast. I'll take a picture and post it to Instagram.
And so, yeah, it's like this little globe with push pins, and you put the pins in where our listeners are from. And this is like our international play. Right now, I'm looking at it right now. We've got 21 countries under our belt.
Oh boy.
And so
we're going to go pin crazy.
We're going to go pin crazy.
That's very exciting.
So we'll get a picture of that up. But yeah, we're going to kick off with WKS from Canada. You're number one.
Number one.
You want one more or should we get to it?
Let's do one more. We're heading into the new year. Let's be a little indulgent.
Okay, this one I've not read any of these, but it looks like a big one, and the title I like. This is from JPPPPPPPPP. Why did I come in here? ? That's the title.
Oh gosh, I'm nervous.
5 stars.
Oh, okay.
Boy, am I listening. I'm a new somebody thanks to the almighty MP. Shout out.
Yes,
As a fellow ADHD artist, it's been therapeutic to hear you two navigate the obstacles ADHD poses on relationships with tenderness and mutual respect. Oh. Also, Heidi Rose Robbins suggested...
I love her.
Suggested I reach out and thank the voices that carry me through long studio days and who help fuel the work.
Wow.
Thanks for keeping me company on an often lonely and hopeless road to making a passion a career. Elizabeth, you've reminded me that we are all energetically connected, and even when it feels impossible to maintain the practice, y'all show us out here laying our hearts on the line to do what we love.
Wow.
P.S. First review ever, but feeling so thankful I had to reach out.
Oh my gosh, JPPPPPP.
Gosh, wow. I'm going to have to rewind the tape to see if either of us nailed the P's because there's a lot of P's. But
that is so incredible. Thank you. That fills my bucket. Speaking of filling buckets.
Please.
A couple of admin need type things, but this one's from the heart.
Yeah.
I did launch my podcast that I've been talking about incessantly.
Yes.
The One Sure Thing. The first 2 episodes, I will say I have never, and I continue to be so nervous putting this podcast out there. I think because it's something that I it's a topic, death and dying, that I'm so interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's a podcast. If someone told me it's a podcast about death and dying, I'd be like, I want to
You'd
check
be
that
there
out.
in a second.
But I'm terrified that I'm not like doing it right or doing it justice. I have so much self-doubt around it, but that was alleviated in such a big way by our listeners, many of whom I do believe went and listened to the Winter thing. And I've gotten such great feedback. I asked for like stories from people, and on Instagram, I've gotten so many amazing messages. The stories being like related to coincidences or like signs from loved ones who have passed or things like that. And anyway, so I just am like, my heart is so full. I feel so great about it. And I was so nervous.
Yeah.
So thank you to everyone who went and checked that out. And then the other thing is, this is our first episode in 2023.
Yeah.
We are going to do another Patreon live stream.
Nice.
Which will be
January 6th.
Friday, January 6th.
8:30 PST. Is that what you're thinking?
8:30 PST. So if you haven't, and we have a bunch of new patrons, by the way. Thank you for those of you who have signed up. We're going to be talking, we'll get into this a little bit here probably, but we're going to be really diving into New Year's resolutions. And my hope is it will be a very interactive, chatty experience with our patrons in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about things. So please check us out there. And it's patreon.com/totallylame, LAIME. And your support, truly makes doing this, because it is a lot of time and energy. And we love to do it, but it takes the sting out a little bit of how much time and energy we put towards podcasting to know that we're making a few cents to rub together, which is good.
Let's circle back to your podcast real quick. I'm so proud of you that you got it off the ground. And I don't think you need to worry at all about doing it justice. You have such a pure curiosity, for good reason, about this subject. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to hear you talk to all these different people. And you're attacking it from every single angle.
Yeah.
You're not coming in with like, this is what it is. Like, you have no agenda. That's what's so great about it. Your agenda is like, what the fuck's going on with death and dying?
Yeah.
But you're open to any possibility. So I think, I don't know, I'm so excited for you and what the show's going to turn into.
Thank you. You've been so supportive, and I think it's going to take me a little while to find my voice on the podcast also, which is fine. And you've continuously reminded me of that, like, trust the process. It's not, my concern is whatever. I'm not even going to worry too much about it. I will say, going into the new year, there have been a bunch of things recently where I feel like I am at the right place at the right time, talking to the right person. One of my concerns about this is because when I conceived of the Winter thing, I was like, and it'll be like hyper produced, like really slick, and unlike all of our other podcasts. And what I've found is I'm incapable of doing that. Like, that's just not my style. And part of my concern is in these first few interviews, like, did I seem to, like, was I not myself enough because I was trying to be this different version of what I was thinking?
I see what
so
you mean. Yeah.
We'll see. It might be a rough entry, but
I don't think so at all, but
you know what I'm saying.
Sure.
So I went on our dear friends Matt Grassi and Dave Holmes' podcast, Homophilia. They very infrequently let a straight person on, and they allowed that to happen for me. And Matt said something because he listened to the first two episodes, which are me and my sister for the first time ever talking through exactly what happened to us in losing my parents. And he was like, I love how unproduced it is and raw. And I was like, really? And I needed to hear someone say that who isn't you. I mean, as much as you support me and what you say is so meaningful, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that took so much, like, I don't know, gave me so much comfort.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
also gave me permission to be like, okay, I am going to do this my way.
Yeah.
And then there was this other thing that happened. I ran into a friend who was talking about creativity, and I don't know. I'm just like, I feel like all of the people I'm interacting with are offering me things. I'm like, that is exactly what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
yeah. I think that's all the admin stuff.
Great.
Keep the reviews coming. We are significantly closer to our overtaking of Eckhart Tolle. Oh, that was another thing.
Yes.
The One Sure Thing comes out, and I was hoping to what's it called? Where you're
Get on the charts?
I was hoping to chart.
You were hoping to chart.
And so that means being in the top 200 on iTunes. And by the way, I realized I think that now, in large part, thanks to St. Monica, most of our listeners are Spotify. So I almost feel bad that we give so much emphasis to Apple. We love Spotify.
Yeah.
Love to get those 5-star ratings on Spotify. They count. It would be nice if we could read reviews like on iTunes. You know, the words help, but still, please smash those 5 stars if you can. But anyway, so the One Sure Thing. I wanted to chart specifically so that when I'm reaching out to these random abstract authors of like death and dying books, they obviously don't know who I am, or me saying I'm a podcaster or whatever, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Being able to say this show is, premiered, blah, blah, blah. It turns out it got up to 67 on the iTunes charts, which is not too shabby.
Not too shabby
Honestly,
at all.
way better than I was expecting. But I woke up the morning after it launched and it was number 69, which is always a fun number. And I am on my phone, I am sitting right atop number 71, which is Eckhart Tolle. I'm 69 on top of Eckhart Tolle.
You're essentially 69ing with Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah. And
that's the universe providing right there.
It really did. It felt like a wink from
Eckhart,
the universe.
or the
saying,
universe.
This is all just good. This is all great.
Elizabeth, isn't this funny that we're doing this? How's his voice? Do that.
No, that's not good.
Say it. Just say like, Elizabeth, isn't it wild that we're doing this?
Oh, I can't get there right now for some reason. I can't summon it.
Okay.
Oh no.
And he thinks it's kind of funny. Yeah.
It's more like that.
Okay.
This is very funny. Now I'm giving him some sort of
You're what?
More German. This is very funny. Look at us.
Look at us.
You are 69. I am 71. Not as high as I am usually. Not that it matters. Nothing does.
No place I would rather be right now. I heard you talking about me on your other podcast. Nobody's listening, right? You don't have a fucking chance of getting more reviews than me.
Okay. Anyway.
That's good. We'll keep the reviews coming. Go subscribe to The One Sure Thing, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes.
Man, that's good. I mean,
a lot of fun stuff going into this year.
We're taping this New Year's Eve.
Yes, we are.
I feel one of the best headspaces I've been in ages going into a new
Is
year.
That right?
I think so.
That's great.
I really think so.
And what about this year feels good, do you think?
Not much. I'm banking on next year feeling.
No, there's
good.
No world that's not.
No, that's not true. I think New Year's it's a big time of reflection, and I think that for me there was a lot of work reflection, and I'm just very excited about work stuff next year. I feel like this past year we had an amazing family year in all that regard. It was a bit of a slower year for me professionally, especially compared to the year before. I have these like ups and downs, it seems like. But I don't know. I feel like I've had all these moments of clarity recently. I think the ADHD thing is going to be a huge change for me next year.
Yep.
And I don't, similar to you, I feel like I'm starting to, interactions I'm having with people, I don't know, I had this real big epiphany that I really want to focus on working with people that are working their asses off. And like literally out of the blue, someone that I'd worked with a while ago
Oh, yeah.
that I would say is literally the epitome of someone that works hard in my industry, like
Yes.
so hard.
You said that, like, when you think of the type of artist in terms of work ethic, this artist is the first one that comes to mind.
Always. And they hit me up out of the blue, and that's like the first person
Oh,
that I'm
yeah.
working with to kick off the new year. So that feels very serendipitous. And I just really want to go, I want to be very helpful to people that are really trying to get their shit done.
Yes, that's
Because
great.
I want to get my own shit done, but my job is to help people get their vision out into the world. So I don't know. I just feel like I have a very good mindset about everything, and I just hope I hope it's an exciting, fun year in that department.
I think it's going to be.
Yeah. So, and it does feel like, I don't know what it is. There's some shift that really does feel significant for myself. I don't know. So we shall see.
That's very
We
exciting.
shall see.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's about it. I don't know. Are you feeling good?
You know what? Yes and no.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank our listeners again for a lot of great messages about, last week I talked about Wellbutrin, and I have kind of come to the conclusion. So there are different facets to this. Like one, which I discussed, was gaining weight, which I have a complicated relationship with. The other one is I have felt, I said last week, like when I'm really depressed, I like numb out and stuff. And I'm like, that hasn't happened since I've gone off Wellbutrin. I still feel emotions and highs and lows and stuff. But what I realized over this break, which granted, we did have like 2 sick kids. It wasn't the easygoing, it was chill and relaxed in many ways. Like we didn't have a lot of social stuff at all.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like actually just this morning, so this is New Year's Eve morning, it's like the first morning where I really felt like I sank into, which also is like my last day off of work, which is hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
I finally sank into this like sleepy, cozy feeling. I've been feeling unable to experience the same level of joy this holiday season.
Yeah.
And so I am going back on Wellbutrin, and I got a bunch of messages from people who I really appreciate them reaching out, being like, I'm on an antidepressant, I'm on this, I'm on that. And I'm pretty much, like accepting that I will be probably for the rest of my life. And that this mindset shift of, it's not that the Wellbutrin is making me a different version of myself. It's that it's helping me be myself. Like something in my brain is, similar to let's say my allergy asthma medication, which I would just be a miserable, barely hanging on person without it, honestly. It's helping me be myself by eliminating this.
Yeah.
So I can look at Wellbutrin the same way. So I'm excited to go back on that, and accepting of that. I started Pilates, and I'm very into it, and I'm excited to get stronger. I am so grateful that I can't believe it. I mean, I could tear up. I'm starting this year I'm not going to be having surgery.
Yeah, you
if
seem
all
really
goes well.
good lately.
Like better than I'm better now then, so even post surgery, I never got to where I am now.
Yeah.
And it's all because of PT and shout out Dr. Maddie in Pasadena.
Yeah.
This like specialized PT place, elevated physical therapy. She really got me to this place, and it was like massage and PT, and it wasn't a PT that like shifts you around to a million different people and no one knows really what you're about.
Yeah.
I think it made all the difference in the world. And I can't, like this morning, I meditated, which for the first time in years, because I haven't been able to sit like that. Like I am good. It still is there.
Yeah.
But now with Pilates, I'm like really excited to get, really work on strength, and the classes are like really hard. And
Yeah.
so that's good. Now, work, I am feeling really good about stuff like A Million Little Things is wrapping up. I feel, very grateful for the people I work with. I'm going to be really sad to not be working with them.
Yeah.
But that will wrap up in the spring. And astrologically, according to Heidi Rose Robbins, I'm going to have the first 6 months of the year be kind of like figuring it out. Like things are going to be nebulous.
A little unknowny.
Which I don't generally do well with, but I think, I sold a pilot, so I have something to work on. And I have something else in development, but like development is just a weird unknown. You don't hear anything, and then hopefully someday you do. So I'm going to try my best to really surrender to that and enjoy it.
So a few weeks ago, I went and played tennis. Shout out tennis.
Yes.
With a good buddy that I haven't seen in a long time. And he plays in a band, a very, very big band now. Like he's a touring musician. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of telling me the opportunity kind of just fell in his lap in a way that he wasn't seeking it out at all. It just kind of happened. Mm-hmm. And at that point in his life, he was very much kind of in his head, just like about himself, like his ego, right?
Yes.
And so it took him a minute to like settle into the gig. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to butcher exactly what he said because this was a few weeks ago. But it was like when he stopped kind of caring and attaching so much ego to all of it.
Yes.
And just kind of let be what should be. Mm-hmm. It has turned into this magical, crazy thing he could have never expected, where literally he's like, playing in front of thousands and thousands of people in stadiums.
Yeah.
And feeling that energy and real. And he said, I wish I had a recording of this conversation, but
that's like the best. I think that's the best advice ever. And like Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic, mm-hmm. It's all about creativity and how like removing the ego from it and feeling more like you're a conduit of creativity.
Yeah.
For good or bad.
Yeah.
And I see that in my field of work. Like, I feel like it's really hard not to attach our identities to what we do.
Yeah.
Because you do have to work so hard, and we all presumably love what we do. And so, yeah, ego plays such a big role. But, I mean, I can apply this to my new podcast. I can apply this to writing, obviously, my career. I have a project right now that I got my first like round of feedback on, and it really wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way to move forward through that sort of situation is to remove your ego from it.
There's exactly. And this same conversation I had, which I think will relate to what you just said too, he was also saying there was something just about like delivering, just like when you deliver the goods, sort of, mm-hmm. like that makes all the difference in the world, because so many people just don't deliver. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And many times you're not delivering because of ego and whatnot. But like if you just show up and like do the thing,
Mm-hmm.
good shit usually happens.
Yes.
Does that make any sense? Or yeah, like
it does. I feel like to me, it's a different texture of
Yeah.
like advice on, I think going back to the ego part of it, like the feedback I got on my project was something I had to process and was like not a good feeling.
yeah.
But I will say, I think that it's something that could have crushed me.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I have had the luxury of having time because I am on my show and that's my priority. So I haven't even like, there was no world where I was like getting right back to it, which I think was good.
Yeah.
But I do think you gave me this advice pretty much, which was it's not personal. This is, and also the advice of like, people want to feel heard and
Yeah.
part of things. And so moving forward, like take that into account and look at this as much more of this is a collaboration you're doing with these people and it's not you proving yourself to them.
Yeah.
And I think that is such good advice.
It comes with experience too, right? Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine taking yourself back 10 years ago and putting yourself maybe in the exact situation and how much harder it would be? I think of times in creative things for me, very early in my career, I can think of specific things of getting like feedback from a record label that was like, fuck that, like so
Yeah,
upset.
yeah, yeah.
Or even like an artist I'm working with, like wanting to change a line of a song and me being like, why would we change it? That's where it's like, you should have just been like, oh yeah, you want to change that thing? Let's change that thing.
Yeah. Well, I do think that is an experienced, it's such a green, and we all go through it.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a story about that. But in this case, it was less about feeling like, well, I mean, no, if I'm totally honest, part of it was just bruised that I wasn't like, the thing I gave them wasn't just like, Elizabeth, you're amazing.
Yeah, totally.
A big part of it also was that I was excited about the creative thing I had created.
Yeah.
And they weren't. So, but I remember, but yes, like getting feedback and stuff now, I'm like, it takes a lot for me to be frustrated or annoyed. It's like my boss, DJ Nash, says, take what you love, don't take what you don't love.
Yeah.
Of getting feedback. Now, when someone's like paying you to make the thing, it's slightly different, but I was thinking back to the second thing I developed was with Tammy Sager, who is
Shout out.
a gift to all human beings. And we all should be, my main life goal is to get to work with her again. And she gave me I don't even remember what it was, but she gave me like a round of notes. And I think I had been like up all night with Teddy. I was exhausted. I don't remember, but I was pregnant. I was very pregnant with Otis. Teddy was very little. It was an intense time. And dear Tammy had to put up with a lot from me, I think. But she was so gracious. And I'm sure she would be like, no, it was fine. But I remember like really pushing back in a way that was like, I was taking it personal, turning it into a thing. It is such a embarrassing thing to look back on it because it's so amateur.
Yeah, but it's
me.
very relatable though too. I think you can.
It is, but
Yeah.
also like it was to a degree that's like, Tammy and I are also close friends. And so I feel like I was blurring boundaries of like professionalism and friendship. And also like at that point we had been in it together. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm making it sound way worse than it was, but I just remember being very embarrassed. Like 2 days later, I kind of had clarity of of that interaction. I brought it up to her recently. So this was 7 years ago or whatever. And I was like, I have to ask you if you remember this. And like, I want to apologize for that. And she was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like she had no idea, which I thought was very funny. But anyway, what were we? I don't know.
We're just kind of talking about ego and all of it. It all makes sense to me completely.
So what I want to do this season of this year, now it sounds like things might kick up a notch for me, astrologically speaking, career-wise. But I want to really enjoy the family time.
Mm-hmm.
I have been like, I think on another level, like enjoying our kids, and it's so fun right now. Like we're able to play games together.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
can read everything. Like, so my goal for this time is to take the piece of the pie that I would normally dedicate to stressing out about not having job stability
Yeah.
and dedicate that to enjoying the downtime. And I mean that with my kids. I mean it with reading books. I mean it with like resting,
Mm-hmm.
going on long walks, taking baths, finishing our cabin. Like
Oh, yeah.
I have so much stuff to, so my New Year's resolution in large part is just to, like seek quiet pleasures. Quiet pleasure.
Seek quiet pleasures. I like that. Okay. Well, I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. Today's a great day going into the new year. I feel like we both have a pretty nice head space on going into the new year.
Now, what I need to know,
Yeah.
have you gotten to the bottom of Notegate?
Oh, fuck. No. And
You haven't?
no.
Oh, Andy.
I think that on the last show, I know we talked about it for 40 minutes. I'm pretty sure I'd mentioned I did go over the leading suspect. I went over to their house and did I say I rang the doorbell 2 or 4 times? Because I might have made it. I might have said 2 when I actually rang it 4 times.
You rang it 4 times, Andy.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Well, they were home.
No, I know.
No, well, there were 2 different doorbells.
If they don't, okay.
So there was a Ring doorbell and then there was like a regular doorbell. I rang both 2 times.
Okay.
And I know they were home. But they might have been.
The fact that you keep bringing up, they were home as though they owed it to you to come to the door. Like, there are plenty of times, especially at this day and age, if I'm home and someone rings the doorbell, I am not getting it.
Yeah,
If I don't think someone I know is coming over,
That's true. Great. Yes.
they are entitled to not answer the door. And that doesn't mean that you should ring the doorbell. Like, that's aggressive.
Well, I'm kind of asserting myself in this situation. Well, here's the thing. So I don't want to go back there because
No.
then it does feel aggressive if I'm doing it. So I'm just waiting
Yeah.
to see them in the flesh, and then I'm going to run outside my door and intercept them, which I am going to do. And I have the note handy in the house.
Andy, you're going to. No, don't hold the note.
I'm going to have the note with me.
No.
I am going to, if you.
Andy, please do not have the note. It's a different, okay.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah. I see this is getting me excited and I know like
please,
yeah.
please do not have the note.
Did you think I should have the note the day after it happened when I went to their house?
That's different. It's a day after it happened.
Uh-huh.
If you come out and approach them, okay, keep in mind, it might not be them.
I know.
And you,
Yeah.
if a neighbor of ours came over and they saw on the Ring cam and they were home and hiding, that they rang the doorbell 4 times, and then the next time we saw him,
Yeah.
he came over holding a note from a month ago,
Yeah.
going, "Hey, did you leave this on my car a month ago?"
Yeah.
I'd be scared of them. We do not want to potentially ruin a fine relationship with these neighbors based on something that we don't know if it's them. And if it is them, you having the note or not does not. All you holding the note a month later does is makes you seem fucking crazy. Please do not hold the note.
Let me tell you the benefits of having the note.
No.
Let me tell you the benefits of having the note. Number 1, I'm going to be very nice, very neighborly.
Well, holding the note totally dismisses all of that.
I'm not walking over with the note in hand. The note's in my pocket, maybe, or something like that.
Okay.
Here's why having the note is great. And granted, this would have been much better the day after, okay? I have this feeling, I don't know, there's 2 people in that house who wrote the note. My dream scenario, okay? This is my dream scenario with this. Is I have the note and I was like, hey, I got this note on my car asking me to park elsewhere, and I show it to them. And my dream scenario is the person I'm talking to is not the one that wrote the note, but recognizes the handwriting of the other person in the house and watching their face, like just watching the expression on their face and being like, oh my God, they left a fucking note like that. That's what I'm living for. That's my ideal scenario. But I hear what you're saying. I'm going to start out just being super neighborly and bringing up and be like, hey, someone left a note on my car asking me to park elsewhere. Was it you guys? I've been parking here because, whatever. I'm going to go into the whole thing, right? I'll be super nice. And then I got the note if I need the note in my pocket, you know?
I would highly encourage you not to have the note. I know that you have the vision of this moment, but I don't think you should have the note. I think it makes you seem pretty unhinged. By the way, someone wrote in and was like, what if it was an adult kid, like an adult child of the elderly people home for the holidays, putting the bins out and annoyed or whatever?
Wow. I love that theory.
I do
Again,
too.
I like having the note to see the look on their face like, oh, our son put
They
that
wouldn't
note on.
recognize their son's handwriting.
This is recognizable handwriting. And the paper is recognizable too.
So you know what I realized? I've done like a little bit more kind of thinking on this and like looking around.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot be Rage Guy.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it would be
absolutely absurd.
Yeah,
because
I know that.
he himself is not parking.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've narrowed it down to one home.
I have to rule these people out or in.
Yeah.
And I think they might lie to me too, which makes it really interesting.
Which you seem to love. Why are you so excited about them lying
because
to you?
if they lie to me,
yeah. But you
then
can't
they lose.
No. But you can't.
Then guess what?
But how are you going to know they're lying? This is the thing. You can't think something came up with like another neighbor was potentially lying about it. We can't live our lives like that. We cannot live our lives thinking that they're lying.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You have to give them the benefit of the doubt. You have to.
The best scenario is I confront these people by running across the street holding a note in my hand.
No. God.
And they admit to it and we work it out. That is the best scenario.
Okay.
But I do, and I understand that that's the best scenario, but there is a part of me that wants this to keep going and not knowing. And
there's also the world where we mentioned this before, some Yahoo just likes to create chaos. It made me think of years ago. This was like, I forget if it was 2018. I don't know, but I posted a picture, which I have since taken down. It was on my Instagram. I believe I took it down because of this, of you and me wearing our I voted stickers. Mm-hmm. And it was like, we did the dang thing or whatever.
That's a good picture of us, I think.
It was a good picture of us. Some random podcast, and I don't know why or how, but picked me and alerted their fans to basically come troll me about that.
Yeah.
And it was like, you didn't vote. Like, that's not your voted picture.
Yeah.
And hundreds of messages trolling me out the gate. And at first I was like, yes, it is. Like, it was a vote by mail. Like, I totally took the bait and was
just
engaging.
Fucking with you.
And it continued to this day. I get messages, like DMs from random fucking trolly dude bros being like,
weird.
Why'd you post that picture saying you voted when you obviously didn't? That's like, did you buy those on eBay? Those I voted stickers?
That one's kind of funny to me for some reason. Like 2 years later, especially.
But it is like people just like fucking with people and creating chaos and like.
Yeah. Like it's like it was one of our friends that was like,
Oh my
came
God.
over recently, and like 3 months later, like, by the way, I left that note in your car. Be like, oh, are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, that's not
Let's
a good
move
friend.
on from Parking Gate though.
Please.
But
God.
I'm still in it. Okay, so what we do need to definitely talk about
Yeah.
is we've been watching the show Severance on Apple.
Yes, we have.
Enjoying it. I think we have 2 more episodes left. I bet maybe we'll knock those out tonight. A little New Year's Eve something.
That's fun. Wow. Yeah, let's get it done.
And if
2022.
And if for those that don't know the show, it's a kind of psychedelic thriller.
Yeah, I think I'm not doing any spoilers. It's basically about, so Adam Scott is the lead, and he works at this like corporate, cubicle place. But the difference is when he goes into work, there's a chip in his brain that erases his memory of his life outside of work. And when he leaves work, the chip in his brain erases his memory of work. So he basically is severed into 2 parts of himself, the work part and the life part.
Yeah.
And I feel like on the surface, you're like, okay, but it
gets
gets
crazy.
really, it is a psychological thriller. Like gets into like what this means for these people. They call them outies and innies, and the humane part of it or inhumane part of it. And anyway, it's very interesting. And it took me a while.
An anxious watch, though, especially for you.
Yes.
And for me, too, if I'm going to be honest.
It took me a while to get into it, but now I'm like, oh my God. Yes, but it is something you're like signing up for anxiety. It's not like, oh, yay. But it's beautifully shot. Ben Stiller directs most of the episodes. He's so good.
Yeah.
And however, watching it as you're falling asleep, and on this particular night, I had gotten stung by a bee. I had taken.
I mean, I think it's a good detail, maybe, but I love that you're like blaming the bee sting on some of this.
Well, I had gotten stung by a bee.
Okay.
I'd taken 2 Benadryl.
Oh,
I
okay.
had a Bailey's on ice,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think you're supposed to do on Benadryl, but I had had the Benadryl like earlier in the day at like 3.
You were rocking that Bailey's pretty quick after the Benadryl. I noticed that. I clocked that.
So anyway, I was a little out of it. And I'm also, as we've established, I have night terrors. I have weird sleep stuff. Like, our son sometimes talks about like eye tricks at night.
Oh.
Do you know that?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
Eye tricks?
And I'm like, I know exactly what that is. I have eye tricks happening at night. It's like weird, like your eyes are playing tricks on you.
Okay.
Like weird dots of light or like, I mean, I guess it's hallucinating, but I've always had this. I've always had weird stuff with electricity at night. Anyway, so.
Weird stuff with electricity?
Yes.
What does that mean? Give one example.
Well, the eye tricks, like there's like weird electricity in the air or like different textures of stuff in the space, and then also like
electric stuff.
It seems like it could be like an electric and then also I mean, I feel like when I was younger, like in college, I would wake up and unplug everything because I was like had weird anxiety about electricity.
Okay.
Anyway, I have a lot of active, weird neurological sleep stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Carry on with the story.
Yeah, so we didn't finish the episode. We got to a part where Elizabeth was like, I got to go to sleep. And I was just kind of wide awake, anxious. And so I was just on my phone for, I don't know, probably 20 minutes, half hour, dicking around. Now, do you want me to say what I was doing now?
Yeah.
So
What were you doing?
Well, first of all, I was just dicking around. I don't even know
Stop
what.
saying dicking around. That makes it seem like you're masturbating or looking at like porn.
Gross. No, it doesn't. When you say you're dicking around, doesn't mean you're looking at porn playing with your dick.
I think it does.
I was just looking at random stuff, and we'll put a picture of this up on the story. I should have it right here. I then went down this wormhole of I've been getting back into like these geeky music things, And I listened to this podcast very recently, last week.
See, you're lying again.
No, I'm not. And the guy was just talking about recording things to cassette tape over and over again, like degrading them. And like, that's been something that I've been into. I have a bunch of cassettes. I was like, oh, I got to get back into that. And then there's like different stuff you can do with like headphones. And anyways, I was just like, that was the world I was in. And I was like, let me look at some shitty headphones. And then these bright green $5 shitty headphones popped up on Amazon when I'm going through. And I was like, those would look great on Bearsy for some videos at some point.
Oh my God.
So if this might give some context of why I was being a little weird about it.
Oh, this is super helpful, actually.
And then I was also this little
look great on Bearsy.
This little keyboard down there, the like very weird looking one, has vocoder, which that's like, anyways, that's a whole other thing. But I was like looking for, they make a little mic, this like $30 mic for this. There's a type of mic that works good. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll get one of those. So I had ordered, my Amazon shopping cart was $5 green headphones, which we'll put a picture up of Bearsy looking adorable in them. And this like little microphone thing. And Elizabeth wakes up and goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing, like just online shopping at 11:30 at night, like buying dumb headphones and a stupid microphone, you know? But I'm like, nothing. I didn't say that. And you're like, what are you doing? And I was like, nothing. And she's like, it looks like a list. And I was like, what are you? No. I didn't know what you were talking about. And then you just kind of went back to sleep for a minute. And then about 10 minutes later, you roll over and you're like, Andy, seriously, what were you looking at? And I was getting nervous from your accusations. Like you were so upset. And I was like, do you want me to show you? And you're like, yes, I do, which has never, ever happened to us before. You've never been like, show me your phone. And I was like, okay. And I go to Amazon to like you would like whatever my order page. I was like, I just ordered this stuff, and you go, that's not it. It was a list. And I was like, what do you mean a list? It was a list. And I was like, this is what I was doing. And then I was like, are you sure? And then I like I scrolled down on the Amazon thing, and there was like, okay, this is going to be crazy where my brain went, and I'm curious if this satisfies you. But then it went down to like, I think when you order on Amazon, then there's like related items afterwards or something, or people also bought this stuff.
Yeah.
And it had like all these like very colorful, like rainbow
toys.
But they were like microphones. They were all microphones.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, oh, yeah. And it was like that was what you saw. But in my mind, I'm like, that's not a fucking list. What is she talking about, a list? Then I was like, did she think I was looking at weird, like, sparkly dildos or something? Because they were microphones that, like, they were like karaoke light up colorful microphones. Uh-huh. So in my mind, I was like, she probably just thought I was looking at like porn or something weird. But you dug into the list thing, and I was like, what did you think I was looking at? It was a list. You were looking at like a list. And I was like, what do you mean? And you had no answer. So like, were you in a night terror state potentially?
Well,
like,
I remember
what was going on, and what is a list? And why is it so bad?
This is not going to be satisfying because I don't actually have all the answers, but I remember looking over and seeing you on your phone.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the moment you realized I was kind of awake, you quickly switched out of it.
Okay.
And you had been looking at what I now realized was Amazon.
Yeah.
But it seemed to me almost like it was this really long list of
what?
I don't know, but let me tell you this. this I think speaks to how much I trust you. None of it. It was never like, is he cheating on me? Is this like, is he looking at none of it was sexual at all. It was much more sinister.
What the fuck was it?
I was like, it was like QAnon, but not QAnon stuff. It was like Severance. It was like, are you connected to some other world where you're keeping track of me? Or like, it was like that level of, I was still half in Severance. I was still.
But what was the list of it?
I don't know. But it seemed like it was an official list.
You still sound crazy. An official list?
I'm trying to explain what
keep going.
I was in a crazy state. I was Benadrylled and Baileysed and Severanced. Duh. So yeah, but I was suddenly, it was almost like, who is this person? And it was just you switching out of it so fast, which now the whole Bearsy of it and everything makes a little more sense that you were like, this isn't something you wanted me to check out with you.
But you know what's interesting though? I think you actually literally just woke up at the time, because I also was right then was switching to get a podcast going. Like, I literally think you saw me Amazon.
No, I had been watching you for a little while.
And then I flipped to get.
I woke up still in Severance, and I woke up looking at you suspiciously. And then I was watching you go through this Amazon list for a while. And then the moment I intentionally made kind of a rustling noise, and you quickly switched. And then I was like, then I didn't believe you. And I was like, what are you doing? And you're like, I'm getting a podcast up.
Yeah.
And I was like, what were you doing before that? I don't know.
But you want to know why I think I was defensive, and probably when you're rustling, you sometimes get annoyed when I'm on my phone too late at night. And so I was like, oh shit, I better get this podcast going.
Yes, that's true.
And just get the show on the road.
That makes sense.
I literally was like, oh shit, let me just
say right now, no part of me thinks that you were doing. I'm very aware now that you were just on Amazon, as you say, dicking around. And I was in a headspace that wasn't real, and it was like half sleep, very suspicious.
I mean, I felt a little violated almost, because you kept accusing me of the list over and over.
Were you relieved when I was like, oh yeah, that is it?
Yeah, but I still had questions.
Sure.
And as it turns out, not many answers.
Yep.
Well, wow.
Remember in my night terrors, I would sometimes kind of attack you because I thought you were a bad guy.
That was, God, that sounds so bad. That was only when I was trying to restrain you. Which
does not sound better.
We later learned you're not supposed to touch someone having a night terror.
But okay.
Okay, what?
Oh.
It seemed like you had an epiphany or something just now.
I kind of did just now.
Tell me.
So what would happen is I would wake up screaming, and you would be holding me to be like, it's okay, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I would be like, oh, this man is attacking me.
No. You would probably be thinking this man's attacking me, and then you would break out of it. And I would be like, it's okay. Because I was just trying to calm you down, and you're freaking out.
Yeah.
And then you snap out of it like nothing had happened. But 10 seconds earlier, I saw you thinking I'm bad guy. So you freaking out, but then you have no memory of it. And then I'm sitting there with my heart racing, and you are just like, night, night. And you go right back to sleep.
It's very unfair.
Nothing had happened to you. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Right. Okay. Well,
God, okay.
Sorry, I did not mean to violate you. I it was really just Severance and the drugs and stuff, I think.
But even now that we're here now, even with the other night terrors, I feel like I don't like that there's this thing where you wake up and you're like, think I'm like bad and can't trust me and I'm QAnon-y.
Well, isn't that, and by the way, when I said QAnon, it's not QAnon. It's like Severance-y. It's not, there's no political affiliation with, but it's like, it was like some sort of underground, you know, data ring that you're a part of, that you were like reporting on me or something.
Whoa.
I mean, I think that's just, I think, you know how like kids often lash out with their safe person? So they're like, you know, they go about their day, they're great at school, and then they come home and lose their shit on the safe person, and it feels a little bit, the safe person's like, well, why are they doing this just with me? What am I doing wrong? And it's like, no, actually, you're the safe place and safe person that they know they can do that to express themselves without negative consequence or whatever. Mm-hmm. In some ways, I think that me thinking that about you is like the depths of my consciousness. Like you are the person I trust the most, the safest person to me. So for you to turn on me means like I got nothing.
I'm not completely following your logic. I sort of am.
Well, that's what kind of Severance, the show, is kind of like you can't trust anything. You can't, you know. I don't think you're giving Severance enough.
No, I think I can give the Severance plus the Benadryl plus the Baileys plus the bee sting. Let's be honest.
Yes.
I'll give it to you, but it was pretty wild, and just what was so wild is that you kept saying the list. It was a list. What if it was a list?
Then you'd be like, it was a list. I mean, it was a list. It was an Amazon list of things to buy.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways, that was weird.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Very excited to see everyone on our Patreon live stream. If you can make it, Friday, January 6th at 8:30 PST. Will be very fun. Bring your New Year's resolutions. Bring your
maybe like
non-resolutions, you know.
Maybe New Year's resolution tips that have gone really well in past years for you.
Oh,
maybe there's people that are like, I always do this every year because it works so great. Or
right.
And then I think just any questions you might have too. We love answering questions, but
we do. And now we're going to go off and do our family annual family podcast, which I'm so excited about. Yes. Speaking of asking questions. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. And thank you again for all the love on the One True Thing. I'm very excited about it. And Andy, I love you. And I'm glad to have you on my team. I don't think you've turned against me in some weird, sinister way. And I trust you completely.
Oh, I love you too. You're on the top of my list.
Okay. Good night.
Night. Shh.